Welcome back to Arc Salt Lake. The mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie remains missing as the search for answers now nears the 4-month mark. Now, many remember Nancy Guthrie was reportedly kidnapped from her home in Tucson, Arizona on February 1st. The case has drawn national attention as investigators continue working to answer the question on everyone's mind: who took her? Now, nearly 4 months later, the suspect's still at large, and there are still really no answers about Nancy's whereabouts. So we are joined this morning by Emerson from Criminally Obsessed to break down the latest developments in this case. And Ann, this is certainly one that causes a lot of people to wonder, why has this case been so difficult?
You know, Lincoln, it really does. And it's one of those cases, it reminds me of the JonBenet Ramsey case in some ways, that we just thought we would get something so much sooner, and then we didn't, and then we didn't. And we're already, well past the 100-day mark. And that's, I think, very concerning for everybody, because it does just get that much colder as it goes along.
What are investigators most likely focused on at this point, do you think?
Well, that's what I've been looking at carefully on the show. And it appears that really going into that genetic genealogy databases and looking at DNA possible matches, trying to find a suspect that way, is really one of the most promising leads that they have. We understand that they have already put some of the DNA that they found at the place, that they don't know whose DNA it is. They've been able to rule out certain people, obviously. They've been able to take that DNA to the several labs. I understand they've been through 5 labs now, which seems like a lot to me, but now it's at Quantico. The DNA is being looked at there. I mean, obviously, when you're working with the FBI and their Quantico lab, you're working with the best of the best. And crime scene investigation and crime science, because that's what we're talking about, is really on the cutting edge here. So I feel confident if anyone's going to figure this out, it's going to be through the DNA. I think that they have, and here's the thing, Lincoln, that we all have to be really patient about. There's 2 sides to this. One is, we don't know what they're doing all the time, nor should we. We're watching and waiting and listening and speculating sometimes, but we are not inside that investigation. And there's a lot of information that they have that we don't have. And that's one thing that I want to say. And then the second thing is that when you have a partial DNA sequence and you're in your 6th lab now, and the biggest lab in the country, this is obviously going to take a very long time to string out. They would have had a smoking gun. They would have had it at the beginning, and they don't. So we gotta be patient.
The national attention that surrounds this, does that help or does it hurt in a situation like this?
I think absolutely helps. I would have to say, like, if you just looked at this case next to all the other cases that we've worked on missing persons, you've got to keep it in the national attention as much as you can, with the media playing a role in this. Obviously, we don't want to go down rabbit holes that are wasting anybody's time in this investigation. But when you think about it, as far as just staying in, you never know. Like, you could be driving down an isolated highway in Arizona or New Mexico or somewhere, and all of a sudden you see something on the side of the road and it looks like a piece of clothing or something. It may just spark someone to stop and be like, let me see what that is. Or they might just remember seeing somebody that would have been somewhere near the Guthrie family home, or, at Nancy Guthrie's residence, that they just put 2 and 2 together. So that's why they do it, right? They hope that one lead is going to take them to where Nancy Guthrie is.
And Savannah Guthrie has such a public job. Obviously, she's not the only member of the family who's dealing with this, but she's really proving that anyone who goes through something like this, they have to go on with life in some fashion. It's got to be a real toll for that entire family.
It's remarkable. I mean, it really kind of levels us, doesn't it? It makes us realize that we're all sort of fighting the good fight together, and no one, when it comes to the important things in life, this is a great example of how we all suffer and grieve and work through these problems the same. It doesn't matter how famous you are or if you're just a person, living in a little neighborhood in Arkansas somewhere. Everybody is going through these struggles. And what I do love about how the Guthrie family has handled this, and Savannah's been so gracious, is that she has tried to put a spotlight on those other cases of through working with the missing organizations, the national organizations, and saying, hey, we know our mom's missing right now. We're putting as much money as we can into finding out what happened to her, but also supporting these other families, because there are hundreds of thousands of families that are also dealing with this kind of crisis.
We just have under a minute left, and the idea that this could go unsolved, does that register in your mind at all?
It does. I still hold out a lot of hope for the work they're doing in running this DNA analysis. And I'll tell you why. When I talk to my forensic criminologists, the people that are on the front line of all of these kind of cases, they tell me that crime science is getting so good, and we're seeing it. I mean, look what happened in the very tragic, scary case of the Idaho 4 and Brian Koberger. It took about 60 days. Now we're at 100, which is a long time. But if you start kind of looking at it in perspective and what they had to work with, and possibly what Nancy Guthrie's case had to work with, I'm holding out a lot of hope that they're still going to solve this. But it's going to take technology, it's going to take science, and it's going to the one thing that I don't like about this is that we have to watch human error, because human error is what really, somebody that's nervous holding that DNA, that has a chain of custody, and we have human error in these kind of cases. So if we can hopefully exclude that to some degree, I think they still have a good shot if they've got some DNA that they're working with.
Okay. Ann Emerson with Criminally Obsessed, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
All right, some background here for you. Ann is the investigative reporter for Criminally Obsessed, our new true crime team. If you're one of those people who listens to true crime all the time, you're going to want to check out her daily show on YouTube. She has some of the most fascinating deep dives on the stories that everybody is talking about. You can click on the QR code right there on your screen, and you will find Ann's interviews. You can also listen to the Criminally Obsessed podcast on Apple and Spotify.